All right, people, I'm Johnny Scoville, and this is Chase the Heat. Got a few beautiful pods to eat today. The last of the purple Gator Jigsaw from Matthew Arthur. Check this out. Look at that. Such a gorgeous pepper. I mean, for real, what amazing. It's just it's a thing of beauty. And then I have from Jacob Deathridge, the big mustard mama. All right. Now, this is a Troy Primo creation. I'm not sure who created the purple Gator Jigsaw, but I'm going to do a little comparison, kind of tell you the difference in flavors and what the kind of heat we're dealing with. I have more pods on their way from Abercrombie, more from Matthew Arthur, and you got to be watching the channel this week because it might be today. I'm going to give everybody the address where you're going to send a self-addressed stamped envelope to receive for free Warthog seeds. That is a stand-up dude who just loves Chili's and loves the community and wants to share his passion. Pretty excited about that. All right, so I have, before I get to the peppers, I have three. I'm going to talk about why my video was hit by YouTube. I found out the reasons. We're going to talk about that. Real quick though, first, let's go to the first question. Is from Ryan Mercer 600. Ryan said he appreciates my integrity, which is kind of a nice thing to say. And I appreciate that. But then he says to me, please move your channel to a different platform. He doesn't like YouTube, apparently. So I want to address that. Is YouTube perfect? No. There are other platforms that are much, where free speech lives, and it doesn't really live so much here at YouTube. But to my answer to him was, look, the channel's almost 8 years old, you know? We're less than 15 videos away from having the 6,000th video. 6,000 of them. It's not like a Lego piece where I can just kind of pull it off YouTube and go to a different channel, a different platform and plop it on, and there we go. So in one sense, I've worked too hard. I mean, 6,000 videos in 8 years is 2 a day, every day. So I worked too hard to just, start over. That would be foolish of me. And what I said in the comment was, if you were in my shoes, you'd do the same. You'd feel the exact same way. But the bigger issue is this. I want to be a light in a dim world. And I think YouTube is a dim world. And there's a lot of channels that are just spew hate, and this is not that kind of channel. This is a channel where I don't talk to the masses, I talk to you. It's not edited, it's raw and very real. And I think the raw quality of it makes it feel like I'm kind of in your house talking to you, or you're in mine talking to me. But to move from YouTube, that's not going to happen. But I appreciate you saying that you appreciate my integrity, Ryan. And I hope you accept my answer. It's just not an option. So there's the first one. And this is an interesting one. This is from Adam B306. Now, Adam B306, he asked if I felt that the 7-pot Primo from Troy Primo. He's a really good friend of mine. I love Troy. But I don't know if you guys know this, the 7-pot Primo is about to turn 20 years old. I bet a lot of you didn't know that, I bet. 20 years old. Adam asked me if I thought it was the most important pepper of the 21st century. Okay, and then I'll get on to a second. Well, the second question is, what are my thoughts on the Scoville scale with respect to peppers and heat? So let's answer the first part of it first. I think the 7-pot Primo, to say it's the most important or the most significant pepper in the 21st century is almost an understatement. I think it's the most important pepper ever created, period. And here's why I say that. I mean, there's great pods like the jalapeno, the habanero, the ghost pepper, all really significant peppers. But if you look at how many, like some of the greatest peppers that chili heads, like real chili heads, ever created have 7-Pot Primo in the mix. I can make a list. I didn't, but you guys know. Good example. The 7-Pot Primo to me is without a doubt the most important pepper ever created, and it will continue to be. You look at the Warthog that was just created. It actually been around for a little while, but he's kind of releasing it now. Matthew Arthur. That was created partly with his cross, his creation, which is a Wartrix, and then crossed with a 7-Pot Primo. So I think the 7-Pot Primo is the most important pepper ever created, period. And I do. That has nothing to do with my love for Troy. It has you know what it has to do with? My love for peppers. And that's it. Then he asked me my thoughts on the Scoville scale. And this is going to surprise a lot of people. Maybe not. I think it's useless. Like, it doesn't matter. How about that? Here's why I say that. For a couple of reasons. Number one, I don't want to say always, but the majority of the time, producers, when they talk about Scoville ratings, they lie. And that's it. So it doesn't matter, because people will buy a product believing it's a certain Scoville has a certain heat, and they're being lied to. And most of them never will know about it. And that's the sad thing. I think that to have a Scoville record, to have the hottest sauce or the hottest pepper. You know why you want a world record? There's one reason. Two reasons. One, to slap yourself on the back and get the accolades and all everything, people saying good things about you. That's one of the reasons. But that's not the reason. The reason people strive for a record breaker is if their main motivation is money. And that's the truth. Put it to you like this. Think of it like this. And I'm not, listen, you can't buy a review from me. It's not possible. It doesn't work that way. You know what I mean? If I like something, I'm going to say it. If I don't, I'll tell you. If I don't, I'll tell you why I don't like it. But, I'm very honest about things. Here you got Matthew Arthur has created what, in my opinion, is the hottest pepper, the highest, most heat I've ever felt from a pepper. Do you think he cares about? He doesn't care about the monetary system. It's you know what? Money is sleazy and dirty. I'm not a fan of it. You need it to live, but I'm not driven by money. Neither is Matthew. Matthew has, in my opinion, what is the hottest pepper I've ever had. He's giving the seeds away. He's not concerned about that, and he's not concerned about making all the money in the world. So I think that records only matter to greedy people whose main focus is ego and money. And that's it. So I don't think the Scoville scale matters. Is it hot? Does it burn you? Yeah. Here's another reason I don't. I also said this to Adam. I've had chocolate pods that have burned me so much more than red pods that have a higher Scoville unit. Because different capsaicins, many different types of capsaicins, they burn differently, all right? So I just don't think it matters. What was the guy's name who does, if it tastes good, eat it? Andy Zimmern. Andy Zimmern? He had a food show on the Food Network. He says, if it tastes good, eat it. If it's hot, it's hot. Who cares what a Scoville unit says? And of all of them, the biggest reason is that it's one of the great lies. People just want to lie about it all the time. And people they misunderstand Scoville ratings. For instance, and I'll use the Reaper as the example, because it's probably it fits the best for this example. For a long time, the hottest pepper was the Reaper, and it was 1.5 million. Some say 2.2, but 1.5 million Scoville units. Now, everybody who's ever eaten a Reaper has told somebody after they ate it that they've eaten 1.5 million Scoville units. That's what happens when somebody eats a Reaper. They tell somebody, how hot is it? It's 1.5 million. No, it's not. I'm here to tell you it's not. I've worked with companies making hot products for close to a decade. In that time, look, when David Foy from Blazing Foods makes a product, a lot of times in the past he's used Reaper. More so he's moving to Primo. But he's used Reaper. And what he would do, he's a very sharp guy, he's savvy as can be. And every time he got a sample, he'd buy a kilo of powder, a Reaper powder, and I mean from a number of different producers. Not one, not the creator, but him too, but lots of different companies that he's purchased powder from. And you know what he does when he gets that powder? He sends a sample of it off to get tested every time. Now the reason he does that, it isn't so much to make sure he's not getting screwed by the person selling it. It's so that he can make consistent products, right? So he knows what he needs to do to make a product consistent from what it's been in the past. Consistency. It's like you have wine. Robert Mondavi wine always tastes like Robert Mondavi wine because they have a way of doing things. So he gets them tested. In 7 years of working with him, I have seen reports. I've seen reports come back from companies, from labs, so many times, and hand to God, I'm telling you the truth. I've never seen he and I have never ever seen a Reaper powder come back from a lab, from anybody that has tested higher than 770,000 Scoville units. I swear to God, I'm telling you the truth. That's the truth. Now, that is about half of what the record is. And we're talking powder, there's no, like when you have sauce, it's diluted with vinegar and other products, and it's still hot. When you have powder, it's nothing but the pepper. Despite that, I've never seen a Reaper powder come back from a lab ever higher than 770,000. So, do Scoville units matter? They don't. If it's hot, eat it. If it's hotter than anything else you've had, then great, if that's what you look for. But I just don't put a lot of weight in it. It doesn't much matter. So there's my answer to that. That's surprising. All right, so the last one, this is interesting. All right. Magnus Motor 1364 began by saying that some other platforms they see consumption of alcohol or things like that as self-harm, okay? And he asked if maybe YouTube has a similar policy. We went back and forth. He's a very interesting person. We had a very, very cool thread going. We were going back and forth. And I did more digging, and I found out the reason that several of my videos, 2 in a row, which is, considering that I've had 39 in almost 6,000 videos, to get 2 in a row. I used OpenAI to figure out what the odds are. The odds of that happening are 0.0043. It's got a better chance of winning the lottery than to get 2 videos, the way I produce videos, to get 2 of them dinged in a row, because I don't break rules, you know? All right, so here's what I've learned. And this is why, now you gotta understand it. They weren't, initially it was, they're not demonetized, period. What they are is called limited. It's not limited monetization, essentially. What that means is, you're not gonna make any money. Anybody who has a YouTube channel, if I say, hey, how much money are you making on the limited videos? You make nothing. Here's why. If YouTube doesn't think that, if they deem it not worthy for advertisers, there's no reason for them to push the video out. So as a result, nobody sees the video, and you're not going to make any money on it. So I figured this is what happened with those 2 videos. YouTube has said that they determined that I violated 2 of the rules and the terms of services. All right, and the first one is that the videos were a harmful act. Quote, a harmful act. Now, I've got video that, first of all, I'm not the only YouTube channel about chilies. There are thousands. I don't mean hundreds, but there are thousands of YouTube channels about chilies. I've eaten in contests, I've eaten over 50 super hots in contests that are on the channel that were not harmful acts. I've done 547 challenges. So it's not a harmful act at all. So that's a stretch. That's not even a stretch. That's just ridiculous. That's absurd. That's them looking for something. It's beyond reaching. It's manufacturing something that isn't there. That's the first rule they say I broke. The second one is, and I'm quoting this, is unreliable claims. The thing that's staggering to me is when you do an opinion piece, unreliable claims go out the window. It's an opinion. It's an opinion. So that's why they dinged my videos, because unreliable claims. So you can kind of like, look, you know, I'm not ruled by money either. It's not my motivation for doing things. So I'm not that tense. Somebody say I should be tense. I should be furious. You know how much money, even on a great video, it's not like you're going to make enough money to retire on. It's one video out of 6,000 almost. Or not one, it's 39 now have been limited or demonetized. If money was the most important thing, I'd be freaking out about it. It's not. The principle bothers me. But anyway. But you guys know me, I don't break rules. Now, the other question was, well, you know, who complained about my videos? I don't know. I have no idea who complained. I think I know who had them complain, but I don't know who complained. Whew, these are so pretty. All right, I'm going to take a quick picture of this. These two peppers for my Instagram. By the way, if you have never checked out my Instagram, please do. It is _Johnny Scoble. And that's an Instagram. And on Instagram, you'll see a lot more than just peppers. I often put stuff about life there. So it's a lot more than just peppers. I used to be on Facebook. It's been a long time since I've been on Facebook. I don't like Facebook. I think Facebook brings out the worst in people. I think social media, to be honest with you, in general, brings out the worst of people. It's an echo chamber. And that's not necessarily a good thing. All right, so look, here's the first one. This is a Big Mustard Mama from the Big Mama series created by Troy Primo. Ready? Here's the reveal. Look at the interior of that. Oily, just beautiful. Now it's interesting. You can see the placenta here. This is the placenta right here, the spongy little kind of white part here. That's where most of the heat resides. Now, if you look at this, on this side, it's solid on the base. So it's got a pretty gnarly placenta. Now this is the purple Gator Jigsaw. And that is just beautiful. Another for the size of the pepper, the pith, P-I-T-H, it's another term for the placenta, is large relative to the size of the pepper. And does it look like some horns? Doesn't it look like horns? It looks like it to me. All right. You know, it's interesting, they both smell so different. Believe it or not, the Purple Gator Jigsaw has more of a fruity aroma than the Big Mustard Mama. I'm going to do the Big Mustard Mama first, and then I'm going to pull the stem off. And here, grown by Jacob Deathridge, is the Big Mustard Mama. I'm Johnny Scoville, and this is Chase the Heat. What a delicious pepper. Have you guys ever heard if you have a peach or an apple and it's not quite ripe, you can leave it in a paper bag and it'll kind of ripen even though it's not on the tree anymore, all right? When I have a box of peppers, and if you guys may want to think about doing this, if you buy boxes of pepper, single flat rate boxes like I did, I usually will eat the green pods last, depending on how they appear when they first arrive. And the reason I do that is I think the timing of picking the pepper and eating the pepper matters for all peppers. You want to pick them at the right time, eat them at the right time. But it's most significant with mustard pods. And to me anyway, it's an opinion, just an opinion here. And the reason I say that is with mustard pods, if you eat them a little too early, they just have that green pod flavor, like kind of that grassy green pod. But if you eat a mustard pod at the right time, it tastes so much different. It has such a unique flavor, and it's beautiful. But the difference is staggering. And so think about that. I think for growers, it's critical they get picked at the right time. The window to get a mustard pod right is much smaller to me. I think with other pods, it's a little bit more broad. The heat on it was fruity. Had a wonderful flavor. There was a little bit of sweetness at first, which is just spectacular to have sweetness in hot pods. There was no floral notes and no bitterness. It was just sweet at first, just for a little bit, and that faded, and this beautiful pepper flavor. I sometimes wonder if the sweet flavor that I sometimes pick up in peppers is something that's there a lot, and I was just never able to realize it because of my tolerance. I wonder that because I didn't really start. I may have to go back and look at them. I'm not sure if the first 3 or 4 years of the channel, I don't think I noticed sweetness in super hots as often as I do now. And I think that's because I've evolved. My tolerance is higher now. And I've had people ask me the question, I don't know, maybe sweet is one of those flavors that your tolerance needs to be high to pick up on. And I know that a lot of flavor, to a degree, I know it's got to be true because if your tolerance is really low, you wouldn't taste anything in the pepper. You'd just be heat, just pain is all you get. So I think on some degree it has to hold some truth to that. Well, who knows? And this is the purple Gator Jigsaw. It's one of the prettiest peppers. And by the way, the cut job, people. Such a pretty pepper. What's gorgeous about this is it's beautiful on the outside and very unique on the outside, but super tasty as well. And this was grown by Matthew Arthur. Stick around, I might give you the address in a minute. The Purple Gator Jigsaw. I forgot to give you the heat on the first one. On that first pepper, if you were a non-chili head, you could take a knife and just cut a little sliver off the front of it, the tip of it, not the base, and it would give you an idea of the flavor and the heat. Full pod for a chili head, It's probably a 7 and above. Some would call it a 6. It's probably a 7 and above. Now, the surprising thing about the Purple Gator Jigsaw, that one tasted, I mean, I love peppers. I love hot peppers. It tasted really, really neat. It had, I talk about the spectrum of you know, you get fruity over here. Sometimes I say fruity here, but either way, you have fruity on one end of the spectrum and earthy on the other. Red pods, yellow pods, orange pods are always really fruity. Green pods kind of tend to go this way. I wouldn't, some like chocolate pods are earthy, okay? Green pods are kind of here. Mustard pods, if you pick them right, they're kind of here in the middle, a little bit this way. And that's kind of what that Purple Gator Jigsaw was it's kind of split, but the difference between earthy and fruity. So you kind of get both of those flavors if you look for them. There was no bitterness on that pepper. And the finish is beautiful on that pepper. Early on, when I first started the channel, I said one day that the aftertaste was good. And somebody who was a food connoisseur said, hey man, you may not want to use the word aftertaste. Aftertaste is usually associated with something that's not so good. Finish, the finish of a product or something you're eating is kind of a better way to say it. So the finish on both those pods are beautiful. Both pods, the first pod burned my mouth and more so my throat than just the tongue burn. The Purple Gator Jigsaw, it's interesting, the back of my tongue, not the front of it, not the middle of it, but the very, very back of my tongue. Not my throat though. I got a bit of a throat burn from the Gator Jigsaw, the Big Mustard Mama, but the Purple Gator Jigsaw isn't really getting my throat, but it's getting as far back on my tongue as you can go and still not be hitting your throat. It's way back on my tongue. And the heat on that, I would say the heat on the Purple Gator Jigsaw is a little hotter than the Big Mustard Mama. I still wouldn't call it an 8. I'd still probably call it a 7. I think most chili heads would call it a 7, although I still think it's probably hotter than the Big Mustard Mama. It's kind of like the Richter scale. You know what I mean? If you have ever like a earthquake, this much of a change in the Richter scale is a huge amount of damage that earthquake can do. I think peppers are kind of like that. Like a good example. What was it? Yesterday I did a chocolate primatali with a warthog. They're both 9 and 10. They are. There's not a single chili head that's going to tell you they're both really, really hot. But I'm telling you, in my opinion, the warthog is hotter. So it's a good example of what I mean about the Richter scale effect with Scoville numbers. But that will do it, people. Thank you for hanging out with me. I'm going to start doing 3 questions in every video. So if you've got a question you want answered or a comment you want me to read, put it in, and I'm going to do 3 of those a day. We're not going to give you Matthew's address today, so tune in tomorrow. And tomorrow might be the day, but I promise you one day this week, you're going to get Matthew Arthur's address. Get your self-addressed stamped envelope ready, okay? Don't bother putting money in it because he won't accept it. I love that. I remember the first time I ever talked to him, I said, dude, can I buy some pods from you? He goes, no, you can't. I was like, okay. He goes, well, I'll give them to you. I have so much respect for that guy, it's absurd. So get your self-addressed stamped envelope, tune in tomorrow, because tomorrow might be the day. In the description box, you're going to see a link for Matthew Arthur. Actually, you're going to wait for the link for Matthew Arthur. You can find him on Instagram though, but get ready, because you're going to get a chance to get the most exciting pepper that I've tasted in years. And you're going to get a chance to get that for free. That's a stand-up dude right there. You'll also see a link for Jacob Deathridge and Deathridge Peppers. So please check them out. On the bottom, my son, Johnny Scoville Jr., and the lifeboat, which is an important, if you have an addiction or trauma from your past that you want to keep in the past and get over it and move past it, please go check out the lifeboat. What you'll get there is unconditional support. And if you're somebody dealing with those issues, whew, Isn't that what we need? So check out the Lifeboat. Right up there, you're going to find Pepperology, which is geared towards new chili heads. Lots of information it's critical when you're new and starting out. A lot of the questions I'm asked, you're going to find them in the Pepperology video. And the other one is all the challenges I've done since this began. Thank you for hanging out with me. I love you guys. I'm Johnny Scoville. This was Chase the Heat.